And we're back with the program once again. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos Halloween version. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the scary broadcast today. And I'll tell you what, you want to know what's really scary? A lot of fantasy football teams right now, because they're fighting that they're going to lose a lot more to come with all the injuries and all the poor activity, and the weather itself played a factor with a lot of games.
Terrible.
Yes, indeed, this weekend. And who here to break down week 8 in the scary NFL than other than my good friend? He's the man, myth, legend behind scary, spooky, and phantasmical, if there actually is a word, fantasy football. It's Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Paydirt Podcast and ffpaydirt.com. What's up, my friend?
How are you?
Good. I hope you're having as scary a time as I am so far. But it's been a interesting, kind of a spooky week in the NFL with some strange things going on. And like I was saying, the weather had quite a bit to do with it. But I want to hear your breakdown of what your thoughts were with week 8 in the NFL, starting with that evening game with Pittsburgh. And is Juju Schuster really putting some put some action to what Martavius Bryant's mouth was trying to talk about?
He certainly made the case for why the team really doesn't need Martavius Bryant.
Exactly, indeed. And to a lot of fantasy owners who have Martavius Bryant, it's just kind of disappointing.
Sure, and he's such a big play guy. But when you drafted him, you knew that there was going to be some baggage along with that. But Juju Smith-Schuster has really come on. He led the team in targets tonight with 193 yards and a touchdown. Wow. And he's not really a speed guy, but there was one pass that he caught up the middle. He took it and he just didn't let anyone catch him. I don't know if he really outran them for 70, whatever yards it was, but he just wasn't going to let them catch
97. 97.
What was it? 97. Yeah. It was a huge catch and run. And he got his opportunity. And a lot of times in the NFL, it's just about getting an opportunity. And he's gotten one. He sure has taken advantage of it.
And I'm so glad he got his bike back.
Me too.
But yes. Without it, he might have not actually caught that pass. But there's some other great things going on. Le'Veon Bell obviously had a good game indeed. But what are some of the things that stuck out to you this weekend in the NFL?
Well, there was that Houston-Seattle game. And oh my gosh, you had both quarterbacks throwing for over 400 yards. You got to see Russell Wilson, put the team on his back.
Wasn't this the team that was couldn't even score 10 points earlier this season?
Well, their offensive line is still bad. It was just today, I guess with the Texans missing so many pieces on defense, most importantly, J.J. Watt, they're just not they don't pack quite the punch that they used to. And Russell Wilson today showed that he can play with a bad offensive line. He sure did great today. He was avoiding pressure. He was using his legs. And on the other side of the ball, Deshaun Watson was doing the same thing. He had a really good game. He did throw a couple picks, and ultimately that was what changed the game. But both of these guys, to see these guys go back and forth, it was a very, very exciting game.
Yes, it was indeed back and forth, both over 400 yards passing. Actually, Deshaun Watson is actually tying a rookie record for most touchdowns in 7 games, 19, in fact, if I believe.
He is on fire. He really is. Yeah,
but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, he's making the case that, hey, yeah, I am a franchise quarterback.
Definitely, indeed. And it also as well for fantasy football owners, there were some other performances that stuck out, maybe not in the best way possible, but Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, I thought that was going to be a shootout, but it didn't quite materialize this afternoon.
It did not. I haven't seen that game yet. But I was expecting the same thing. I was expecting a lot of fireworks and a lot of passing yards. You're right. It just did not happen. Chris Hogan was hurt in this game. So he ended up leaving. That's a pretty big blow for New England. But you did see Deion Lewis getting more involved. He is the best running back on that team. And also Rex Burkhead, now that he's healthy, he's out catching passes out of the backfield. And he's doing a really good job of it as well.
Now, Minnesota, they played very well in London. You just basically strong arming the Cleveland Browns in the second half, which actually on the surface doesn't really seem that hard. But they're showing a lot of life. And I know you've had a lot of interest and given them a lot of love over the past few weeks. What do you think it's going to be like going forward for fantasy owners as far as good plays, including possibly adding Case Keenum to the team, to your team in fantasy football?
Maybe as a streamer, I don't know if I like him week to week. Having a couple good games is fine. They really didn't need to do a whole lot to get past Cleveland, but the defense showed up. Like Minnesota, you don't have to throw the ball. So as far as picking up Case Keenum and putting him on your roster, maybe in a deeper league, maybe in a 2-quarterback league, but I don't think Minnesota is going to have to throw the ball a lot to win. They're just a really good team. They have 2 really good running backs that have come up and shown themselves that they weren't the one trick pony with Dalvin Cook. And again, that defense can make so many good things happen in a game. And Minnesota is well coached and they're winning football games. They're looking good doing it.
That they are indeed. Now, is there some surprises or maybe some names that really had good performances this weekend that maybe should people and fantasy football team owners, as it gets closer to the playoffs, should try and trade for, make offers for, or try and pick up at the waiver line? I know you've been really, really promoting Joe Mixon as a premier ball carrier if Cincinnati realizes that he's actually there on the team, because sometimes they forget about him like they did last week.
Yeah.
But this week he was actually utilized as a receiver very well today. I mean, very well this weekend.
Yeah, they didn't run the ball a lot. They ran the ball less than 20 times. He did get 11 of those, only got 18 yards. They got bottled up. But yeah, he caught that long touchdown, and he's just a superior athlete. He's a superior running back. He's better than anyone that they have. And with the shakeup at offensive coordinator earlier in the year, they're going to get him involved. They're going to have to trust him because he's the best thing they have right now in the running game. So his usage is going to continue to increase. Again, they didn't run the ball a lot today, but I would expect that they will have some game plans in the future where they will want to run the ball a lot and make sure that Joe Mixon gets a hefty workload.
Now, your Tuesday podcast will cover the latest injuries also as well. It will cover what moves people need to make as they gear up towards a playoff run. What are some of the maybe some of the things that you're looking forward to for that podcast? Mm-hmm. Maybe some injuries that stuck out this weekend that people may need to make maneuvers or at least think of doing this before Week 9 in the NFL.
Well, Week 9 is going to give us 6 teams on bye. So there are going to be a lot of fantasy owners out there that are going to be looking to number 2 receivers on some teams that they can pick up for a week, plug in, and get some production. For me, Marvin Jones was one of those this week that I got up off the waiver wire, plugged him in, and he put up points for me. So in my Tuesday podcast, I will look at some of the injuries. Guys usually on Monday get an MRI, and we know a lot better Tuesday. But also I'll start looking to some of these bye week teams and some of the matchups in Week 9 that maybe you can pluck a guy up off of the waiver wire and put him into your line enough for you. Because with so many teams on bye, it's going to be difficult.
Could you say that last part again? Because it had an internet interruption.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you still there?
9, yeah. So in Week 9, we have 6 teams on bye, and I'm going to, on my Tuesday podcast, look at some of the injuries and all the better matchups in Week 9.
One more time, I apologize because it keeps cutting out to you right at the wrong moment.
In my Tuesday podcast, I'm going to look at the matchups in week 9 because we have 6 NFL teams on bye. So a lot of fantasy owners are going to be scrambling, trying to find guys to pick up that they can plug in and play. And so my Tuesday podcast will be focusing on those issues.
Sweet. All right. I just want to make sure it comes through because this is important information that people need to be made aware of, because your Tuesday podcast sets people off on the right foot. Those teams and those owners that want to go ahead and really make those plans and that push towards the playoffs, this is an important week with all the bye teams that are out there. You need to make replacements, you need to make adjustments, and you need to pick up people off the waiver wire that are going to help you produce while your other main players are on bye. So that's definitely something you need to be aware of, especially if you're going to go ahead and listen to the outstanding Fantasy Football Paydirt podcast coming this Tuesday, and also his Saturday program. Don't forget that as well. He'll give you updates on all the injuries and everything going on just before week 9 really kicks into gear in the NFL. Check it out today, or check it out actually on Tuesday and Saturday at Apple Podcasts, also as well Libsyn, also as well Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, and SoundCloud. You can also read up on everything that's going on in fantasy football off their Fantasy Football Paydirt Podcast Facebook group, and also as well ffpaydirt.com. Tyler, it's going to be another scary week in the NFL coming up.
Week with the bye weeks.
Yeah, indeed. Definitely a spooky week coming up indeed. My friend, just have a safe and happy Halloween. I'll tell you what, for you and your loved ones out there, and just make sure you don't get any Browns tickets in your candy.
Gotta check the candy. You never know when you're going to find some awful Browns tickets in there.
That's
Take
right.
care, my friend.
or it could be worse. Could be even 49ers tickets as well.
Oh, nobody's that cruel to do that to a child. No.
Well, you never know. They're kind of pricey.
That's spooky. Yeah, those are scary prices.
Yes, indeed. Once again, it's Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Paydirt Podcast. Appreciate it, my friend. All the best to you.
Yes,
Halloween.
Thank you, my friend. Happy Halloween.
Thank you.